This is K.M. Weiland. As my regular subscribers already know, I am a historical and speculative novelist who likes to help writers become authors. Today, I want to introduce you to what I think is a really fantastic little program, Smart Edit. To get us started, I'm just going to go ahead and show how to import your document into the program. It takes a few minutes to scan, so while that's going on, I'll tell you a little more about what's going on. So you have the option to either open an RTF file and run your Smart Edit checks that way, or copy and paste into the editor. I write my stories in Microsoft Word and prefer just to take the corrections that I glean from Smart Edit and change them in Word rather than going through the hassle of uploading an RTF. So I'm just going to copy and paste my work in progress, the historical fantasy Storming, and then I'm going to go up here and click Run Checks. So a month or so ago, I was contacted by Darren Devitt, who let me take a sneak peek at his program, Smart Edit, before it was even released to the public. I get requests for reviews and such a lot, and most of the time I'm like, sorry, but no. But I really, really love this program. It is not going to help you rewrite your novel or fix plot holes or your weak character arcs, but what it is going to do is help you with the nitty-gritty grunt work of editing. Smart Edit is a really simple program that basically revolves around the idea of collecting and cataloging problematic words. These could be anything from words that are repeated too often, words that are used incorrectly, too many adverbs, that kind of thing. Okay, so now that the scan is finished, let me just show you all the options. Over here, you have your results that came up. The various lists of words that we're going to go through and analyze. When you run your checks originally, you can use the Choose Actions tab over here to select which of these scans you want to run. I always run them all. Why not, right? But if you want it to take a little less time, you can uncheck some of these boxes. Okay, so let's start with the adverb usage list, which we have down here. Let me just make that a little bigger for you. Okay, so all of your adverbs, every adverb that's used in the doc is going to be listed over here alphabetically. And then you're going to see the portion of the sentence in which the adverb is found, so you can kind of get a sense for whether you want to investigate it further or not. If you click on this or double click, it's going to take you to that spot within the document that you've pasted in there, so you can see the whole thing. What I do when I'm using this, since I'm not going to make changes in Smart Edit, is I go through and I'm looking for words that are, that are the ones that are used the most, and particularly those that stand out. A lot of these are adverbs that aren't going to, like finally. It's not one that's going to jump out at readers. So it's not necessarily one that you're going to need to fix. But I look for anything that seems like I'm overusing it, like likely. That's one that I've overused a lot in this manuscript. And then I go over to Word and run a universal check, a universal find search, and replace every one of those words with its all caps alternative. So I retype likely all in caps, so that then when I'm going through and editing the document, seeing that word all in caps is going to force me to stop and reevaluate whether that word is really necessary. So then we go over here to repeated phrase list, and you can adjust the settings so you get words or phrases of varying lengths. So maybe you want to just look for phrases of 4 or more words. You can adjust that in the settings. So as you can see, this very handily is where they list all of the phrases in sequence of which you've used the most. So you can tell by looking at the ones that are most frequent if you're overusing them. Actually, I find that most of the really overused ones are going to be like out of the, which is not something you're probably going to need to replace. But if you scooch down, you're going to find some phrases that are maybe not used that often, but even that much is too much. Like I've been told many times that I use the word jutted her jaw or his jaw too often. So that's something that I'm going to look at. Then we go over here and we look at repeated words list. This is set up just like the repeated phrases list, except it's just going to be a word. And this one is a little harder to sort through since you're going to have a ton of words like or right or around or a character's name like JL that obviously you're not going to need to double check. So you're probably going to want to scooch down toward the bottom on this as well and see if some of the words that aren't as frequent but maybe are a little more unique, that you're overusing them and need to double check. Then we go over to misused words. And I don't use this one a whole lot, but obviously it's really great for checking if you know you have a problem with certain homonyms or grammar words or spelling, that sort of thing. This is where you're going to want to check to make sure that you've used them correctly. It's going to highlight any word that it feels could possibly be a problem. Most of them probably will be correct, but it's worth running through and double checking that you did indeed use them correctly. Then we go over to monitored words. This is one where I believe you can specify what you want it to look for. So if you have a word that you realize that you overuse a lot, you can check here and make sure that you've done that correctly. It's also got a foreign phrase uses list. I don't have any foreign phrases right now, so it isn't listing that for this document. You can open the profanity swear word list to double check how often you're using it, if you're overusing it, if you want to tone back on that or not. Sentence length graph is kind of handy. It shows you the variation of how long most of your sentences are. So you can tell that most of my sentences are coming in at about 4 words per sentence, 4, 5, 6, 8. That's kind of the range here. And then we've got a few way down at the bottom that are pretty long. So if you're seeing that you got a ton of long sentences or something like that, you can kind of get the gist for something that you may want to look at and go back and edit later. The cliche usage list, which I love, shows you in order of frequency the amount of cliches that you've used, which is really great for, you can go back through and delete some or brainstorm more creative alternatives that are going to pop off the page at readers. Dialogue tags. This one I find isn't really all that accurate. A lot of these I know I haven't used as dialogue tags, but they're coming up just because they're in proximity with the character's name within the dialogue. So a lot of them are used as action beats rather than actual dialogue tags. But it's still useful to see if you're overusing certain, because you're not going to stick with said most of the time because it's the one that blends in. So you get to go through and look and see what you're using and if you need to amend any of them. Proper nouns list allows you to keep track of your characters and any other, town names, place names, that sort of thing. And then you can just run a search and it'll hop up here in the thing to wherever that character is listed first. And then we have a list of acronyms, which also I don't find works particularly well since it just seems to highlight the proper nouns that we saw earlier. And then it shows us the most frequent words and phrases that we've used to open our sentences. These are listed alphabetically, but you can go through and see the count over on this side. Like, obviously A is going to open a lot of sentences. And you can see if you're overusing any sentence openers. And then we've got our suspect punctuation list. This is like the cliche list and the misused word list, which is just going to highlight anything that could possibly be wrong. And you can kind of run through it, just eyeball this part of the list and see if any of it is something that you did use wrong and need to correct. So pretty much that's it. It gives you, over here in properties, it gives you some various facts, word count, character count, which is not your characters, but the every letter, space, punctuation mark, etc. Page count, it shows you if you have accidentally mixed up straight quotes and curly quotes so that you can correct that before you send it out to an agent. Same with apostrophes, it shows you your M dash to N dash ratio and your hyphens. You can create custom lists. Your settings are over here, so you can decide, for your repeated phrases and such, how many words you want to be included in that. You can save this. You can, copy and paste her up here. You can run a find. As you can see, it's very easy to use, and it spares us the extra effort of having to manually search our entire document for dozens of different words. If you're interested in downloading a free 10-day trial, you can visit smart-edit.com. You can purchase the entire program for $49.95. And just to be clear, I am not an affiliate of SmartEdit, so I have no horse in this race. I just think it's a really slick program, and I've already personally used and benefited from it several times. So stop by and give Darren a visit. And while you're at it, drop by helpingwritersbecomeauthors.com and say hi to me too.